the mystery of the Mirror House. In the heart of a snow-covered Norwegian valley, nestled between rugged mountains and dense forests, stood the Mirror House. Its sleek, reflective walls made it almost invisible, merging seamlessly with the landscape. The house had been a marvel of engineering, built by an eccentric architect named Lars for his beloved wife Elisabeth. For locals, it was a symbol of their love, until the day Elisabeth disappeared without a trace. Years later, the Mirror House stood abandoned, its enigmatic presence drawing curious travelers and thrill-seekers. Rumors swirled around the valley, painting the house as cursed. Some claimed they saw fleeting images of a woman's face in its mirrored walls. Others believed that the house had swallowed Elisabeth whole, trapping her forever within its reflective surfaces. Oskar, a young journalist, wasn't one for ghost stories. Born and raised in Oslo, he was a skeptic by nature, grounded in logic and reason. But the Mirror House intrigued him. He wasn't interested in the supernatural. He wanted to uncover the truth. Was it just a tragic story of a woman who'd run away, or did the house hide a darker secret? With a camera slung over his shoulder and a notebook in hand, Oskar decided to spend a night inside the infamous house, determined to unravel its mystery. As Oskar approached the house that frigid evening, the first thing he noticed was its eerie silence. The valley seemed to hold its breath around the structure. The mirrored walls reflected the setting sun, casting strange, shimmering lights across the snow. He paused at the entrance, a modern steel door with no handle or visible lock. When he pressed against it, it swung open effortlessly, as if the house had been expecting him. Inside, the air was cold and still. The rooms were sparse, with minimalist furniture and polished concrete floors. The mirrored walls continued inside, making the space feel infinite and disorienting. Oskar ran his fingers along the smooth surface, noticing that his reflection seemed slower than it should be, lagging just a fraction of a second behind. He shook off the unease and set up his equipment, ready to document every corner of the house. Night fell quickly, and the valley was plunged into darkness. Oskar sat in the living room, illuminated by the flickering glow of a single lantern. As he scribbled notes about the architecture, he noticed something strange. The mirrors around him began to shimmer, their reflections shifting. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, but then he saw her, a woman with flowing dark hair, standing behind him. He spun around, but no one was there. When he turned back to the mirror, her image had vanished. Reflections of the past. Determined to stay rational, Oskar chalked the sighting up to exhaustion. Just a trick of the mind, he muttered, though his voice wavered. He poured himself a cup of coffee from his thermos and decided to explore further. With his flashlight in hand, he ventured into the hallway, where the mirrors seemed darker, almost opaque. As he moved, the reflections in the mirrors grew stranger. They no longer showed him or the room he was in. Instead, they displayed scenes from another time. He saw a man, Lars, he assumed, sitting at a drafting table, meticulously drawing blueprints. In another mirror, Elisabeth appeared, her face radiant with joy as she painted on a large canvas. The scenes were vivid, alive, as though the mirrors were windows to the past. Oskar's pulse quickened. He aimed his camera at the mirrors, but the lens only captured his reflection, none of the fantastical scenes. Frustrated, he continued deeper into the house, following the faint glow that emanated from one of the mirrors. It led him to a locked door at the end of the hallway. The door was unlike the others in the house, heavy, wooden, and carved with intricate patterns that looked centuries old. He tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Looking closer, he noticed a small keyhole. "Of course," he whispered. He retraced his steps, searching for a key. In the living room, he found a box hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Inside was a delicate antique key, along with a note written in a woman's hand. It read, "To see the truth, you must face the reflection." Key in hand, Oskar returned to the mysterious door. As he inserted the key, the mirrors in the hallway began to pulse with light, their shifting reflections growing faster and more chaotic. Taking a deep breath, he turned the key, and the door creaked open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into darkness. The truth behind the glass. The air grew colder as Oskar descended the stairs, the glow from the mirrors fading behind him. At the bottom, he found himself in a circular room lined entirely with mirrors. In the center stood an easel, holding an unfinished portrait of Elisabeth. Her eyes in the painting seemed alive, shimmering with an otherworldly light. Oskar stepped closer, his breath fogging the air. As he reached out to touch the painting, the mirrors around him flared to life, each showing a different fragment of the story. He saw Lars building the house, pouring his heart into every detail. He saw Elisabeth working tirelessly on her art, her love for Lars evident in every stroke of her brush. But then the scenes darkened. Arguments erupted between the couple, their voices echoing in the mirrored room. Elisabeth wanted to leave, to explore the world beyond the valley. Lars, afraid of losing her, became possessive. The mirrors showed the final moments. In a fit of desperation, Lars had locked Elisabeth in this very room, hoping to keep her with him forever. But something went terribly wrong. The house, infused with Lars's grief and Elisabeth's despair, became a prison for her soul. Her essence was trapped within the mirrors, reliving her anguish for eternity. Oskar felt a chill run down his spine. The painting began to glow, and Elisabeth's voice whispered through the room, "Help me." Her plea was soft but filled with desperation. Without thinking, Oskar grabbed the painting and smashed it against the nearest mirror. The glass shattered, and a brilliant light erupted, enveloping the room. When the light faded, the room was empty. The mirrors were gone, replaced by smooth walls. Oskar stumbled back up the stairs, the weight of the experience pressing on him. Outside, the first rays of dawn lit the valley, and for the first time in years, the mirror house reflected nothing but the sky. Elisabeth's voice was gone, but Oskar felt her gratitude in the air. As he walked away, he glanced back at the house one last time. It no longer shimmered with mystery but stood silent, its secrets finally laid to rest.